Nestled where four states meet, the land that would become Newton County, Missouri, holds a story forged in rugged wilderness and dramatic change. Its foundation rests on the intersection of ancient Native American territories, forced removal, and the relentless ambition of American pioneers. Before any county lines were drawn, this was the domain of the Osage Nation. They thrived here, utilizing the rich prairies for hunting and the clear waters of Shoal Creek for sustenance. Their world was irrevocably altered by treaties and federal policies that pushed them westward, opening the territory to a new wave of settlement. Starting in the 1830s, families from Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia began to arrive. The first white settlement was in 1830 by Colonel Lunsford Oliver and his family. These were hardy pioneers, carving a life from the dense woods. They built rough log cabins, cleared land for subsistence farming, and faced the immense challenges of a new frontier. On December 13, 1838, the population was sufficient for official organization. The new county was named for John Newton, a hero of the Revolutionary War. After a brief period with a temporary seat, Neosho was established as the permanent center of county governance. This transition, from Osage hunting ground to an organized American county, set the stage for the next turbulent chapter in its history, the Civil War. Southwest Missouri during the American Civil War was not a clear-cut theater of grand armies and decisive battles. Instead, it was a complex borderland, a fractured landscape of competing loyalties where conflict was intimate, brutal, and deeply personal. We analyze how shifting loyalties, fueled by both state-level politics and local grievances, gave way to a pervasive and destructive form of localized violence. Prior to the outbreak of hostilities, Missouri existed in a precarious political equilibrium. As a slave state with strong economic ties to both the North and the South, its loyalties were far from monolithic. In Newton County, the sentiment was decidedly pro-Southern. The county election of March 1861 for delegates to a state convention provides empirical evidence of this leaning. The pro-secession slate won decisively, signaling a deep-seated alignment with the Confederate cause among the local populace. However, this sentiment was galvanized into action by external events. When pro-Union forces, under Captain Nathaniel Lyon, seized the state militia camp in St. Louis and a state convention failed to vote for secession, the political landscape shifted dramatically. Governor Claiborne Jackson's subsequent call for volunteers led to the formation of the pro-Confederate Missouri State Guard, which found fertile recruiting ground in Newton County, while Unionists began to organize their own Home Guard units in response. The escalation from political maneuvering to armed conflict was swift. The June 1861 county election stood in stark contrast to the one in March. While still contentious, the results showed a significant mobilization of Unionist voters, a shift likely influenced by the growing presence of federal authority and a reaction to the overt organizing of secessionist forces. The strategic importance of Southwest Missouri was amplified following major regional engagements, most notably the Battle of Wilson's Creek in August 1861. This Confederate victory emboldened Southern sympathizers and temporarily drove federal forces from the region, placing Newton County firmly under the control of the Missouri State Guard and Confederate armies. A detailed timeline of this period reveals a constant state of flux. Early skirmishes erupted near the lead mining center of Granby and the town of Newtonia. September 1862, with the First Battle of Newtonia. Confederate forces, including a notable contingent of Cherokee and Creek soldiers under Colonel Stand Watie, clashed with a Union column. The battle centered around the Stone Barn and Ritchie Mansion, which were used as a Confederate hospital. Though the Confederates managed to push the Union forces back in this initial engagement, it was a costly and temporary victory that failed to secure the region. The conflict returned 2 years later. In October 1864, the Second Battle of Newtonia unfolded as part of Confederate General Sterling Price's ill-fated raid into Missouri. This time, the outcome was decisive. Union forces under General James G. Blunt delivered a crushing defeat to Price's army, effectively ending major Confederate operations in southwest Missouri. Most were not large-scale battles, but rather a series of probing actions, cavalry raids, and fights for control of vital resources, illustrating the fluid and contested nature of territorial control. As the major armies moved to other theaters, The war in Newton County did not cease. It merely transformed into a more vicious and irregular conflict. The region became plagued by guerrilla warfare. Organized bands of pro-Confederate bushwhackers and, conversely, pro-Union Jayhawkers from Kansas operated with near impunity. This was a war of ambush, reprisal, and terror, waged far from traditional battle lines. The historical record is replete with specific examples of this brutal dynamic: raids on farmsteads, the confiscation of property and livestock, and targeted assassinations. Civil authority effectively collapsed. The county's formal governance structures were unable to maintain order, leaving civilians vulnerable to whichever armed band held sway at any given moment. This endemic violence persisted throughout the war, creating a landscape of perpetual fear and instability long after the formal armies had departed. In summary, the Civil War experience in Newton County serves as a compelling microcosm of the trauma inflicted upon the border states. It was a conflict defined not by grand strategy, but by neighborhood-level divisions, where the enemy was often a former friend or relative. This intense internal fracturing profoundly complicated the post-war Reconstruction era, leaving scars of bitterness and political factionalism that would endure for generations. The historiography of the Civil War rightly focuses on major campaigns, but a complete understanding of the conflict requires this granular, localized perspective. To comprehend the total war experience of the American populace, one must look beyond the major battlefields to the contested farmlands, crossroads, and county seats like those in Newton County, where the true, intimate cost of civil war was paid. Beneath the rolling hills and quiet fields of Newton County, Missouri, lies a hidden world. A world carved not by water, but by sweat, dynamite, and the relentless search for wealth. These colossal gray mounds, known as chat piles, are the most visible scars of an industrial giant that once dominated this landscape. Welcome to a region whose very foundation was shaped not just by nature, but by the relentless pursuit of metal buried deep beneath its surface. We'll explore the boom, the bust, and the lasting subterranean legacy of lead and zinc mining in this vital corner of Missouri. A story of immense prosperity and profound environmental consequence. Our journey starts on the map, in the southwestern corner of Missouri. Newton County sits at the heart of what was once known as the Tri-State Mining District, a massive mineral-rich area that also included parts of southeastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. For nearly a century, this district was one of the most important mining regions in the world. The prize they sought was locked away in the ancient limestone. Primarily, they were after two crucial minerals: galena, a dark metallic ore that is the primary source of lead, and sphalerite, the key ore for zinc. These weren't just shiny rocks, they were the building blocks of the Industrial Revolution. Lead was essential for batteries, plumbing, and paint, while zinc was critical for galvanizing steel, preventing rust on everything from buckets to battleships. Geologically, these ores formed as superheated, mineral-rich fluids pushed up from deep within the earth, dissolving the existing limestone and depositing lead and zinc sulfides in their place, creating what are known as replacement deposits. The fuse was lit in the mid-1800s, but the explosion of activity truly began in the late 19th century and roared through the first half of the 20th, fueled by world wars and industrial demand. Towns like Granby became epicenters of this boom. Founded on the discovery of lead, Granby was one of the earliest and most productive sites in Missouri, a blueprint for the boom towns that would follow. The city of Joplin, just to the north, became the commercial hub for the entire district. Miners descended into the earth in rickety cages, drilling and blasting to create vast underground rooms. They used a technique called room and pillar mining, leaving massive columns of rock to support the roof. Back on the surface, the ore was crushed and processed using jigs, machines that used water to separate the heavier lead and zinc from the worthless rock, or chat. Life in these towns was a whirlwind of prosperity and peril. The promise of high wages drew thousands of workers to the area, creating bustling communities seemingly overnight. But the industry was unforgiving, subject to wild swings in metal prices and the constant dangers of working underground. What the miners left behind is a legacy you can't always see from the surface. The room and pillar method created an enormous network of man-made caverns, a subterranean honeycomb stretching for miles beneath Newton County and its neighbors. These aren't natural caves. They are the hollowed-out voids left after the ore was extracted. This vast emptiness creates a significant long-term risk: subsidence. As the pillars weaken over decades, the ground above can suddenly collapse, creating dangerous sinkholes that swallow roads, fields, and even buildings. While many of these man-made caves are hazardous and inaccessible, the unique geology of the Ozarks has also made the region a popular destination for cave tourism, showcasing the natural beauty that exists alongside this industrial history. By the 1950s and 60s, the boom was fading into a bust. The most easily accessible high-grade ores had been depleted. Extracting what remained required digging deeper and processing lower-quality rock, which dramatically increased costs. As global markets shifted, the mines of the tri-state district could no longer compete. They closed one by one, leaving behind a silence and a staggering environmental toll. The most obvious remnants are the chat piles, some towering hundreds of feet high, containing millions of tons of waste rock laced with heavy metals like lead, zinc, and cadmium. For decades, rain and wind have leached these toxic materials into the soil and groundwater, contaminating streams and private wells. The scale of the problem led to federal intervention, with large portions of the tri-state district, including areas in Newton County, being designated as EPA Superfund sites. Today, extensive reclamation efforts are underway, focused on capping chat piles, cleaning contaminated soil, and restoring the landscape. Newton County's story is a powerful case study in American industrial history. It's a tale of how the pursuit of resources can build a nation, create immense wealth, and simultaneously alter a landscape forever. The legacy of mining is now woven into the county's identity, influencing everything from land use policies to the rise of tourism. It stands as a reminder that what we take from the earth often leaves a permanent mark, both on the surface and deep below. Newton County, a place of rolling hills and quiet towns. But beneath this tranquil surface is a story of immense national significance. A story that begins with the urgent drumbeat of war and continues today in the complex logistics of modern global defense. This is the story of how a patch of Missouri farmland was transformed into Camp Crowder, a vital military installation that has shaped both the local community and the course of American history for over 80 years. From its frantic construction in the face of World War II to its crucial role in 21st century operations, we'll explore the incredible evolution of this enduring landmark. In the tense months leading up to America's entry into World War II, the nation was scrambling to prepare. The U.S. Army Signal Corps, responsible for all military communications, desperately needed vast new spaces to train tens of thousands of soldiers in the complex arts of radio, telegraphy, and the brand new technology of radar. The search led them here, to Neosho, Missouri. The location was ideal, centrally located, with access to railways and a willing workforce. In 1941, the federal government acquired over 60,000 acres, and construction began at a breathtaking pace. In a matter of months, a city rose from the fields. Over 1,100 buildings were erected: barracks, mess halls, chapels, and theaters. Roads and utilities were laid down with military precision. This massive project brought an unprecedented boom to Newton County. Thousands of workers flocked to the area, transforming the local economy and culture almost overnight. What was once a quiet agricultural community was now the bustling home of one of the nation's most important military training centers. Camp Crowder officially opened in late 1941, and its mission was clear: to forge the communications backbone of the U.S. Army. During the war, over 150,000 soldiers passed through its gates. They were taught to operate and repair complex radio sets, lay miles of telephone wire under fire, and decipher enemy codes. Life on the base was a whirlwind of intense training. Soldiers practiced setting up mobile communication posts, honed their skills in cryptography, and learned to maintain the delicate equipment that served as the Army's nervous system on battlefields across Europe and the Pacific. The scale of the operation was staggering. turning Camp Crowder into the second largest city in Missouri at the time. The relationship with the local community was symbiotic. The town of Neosho welcomed the soldiers, who filled local diners and shops on their weekend leave, creating a unique blend of military and civilian life that defined the region for a generation. After the victory bells rang in 1945, the future of Camp Crowder was uncertain. Like many wartime bases, it was largely deactivated. The once bustling barracks fell silent. However, its strategic value was undeniable. The installation was retained, and in 1951, it was redesignated as Fort Crowder, a permanent military post. Though its primary training mission had ended, it continued to serve in support roles during the Korean and Vietnam Wars, adapting to the changing needs of the military through the Cold War. Today, the mission has evolved once more. Now known again as Camp Crowder, it is a vital hub for the Missouri National Guard and the U.S. Army Reserve. It hosts critical training exercises that keep our modern forces ready. One of its most significant tenants is the Defense Logistics Agency, which uses the vast facilities for strategic material storage and distribution, managing everything from uniforms to vehicle parts. This logistical role is not just theoretical. During the war in Afghanistan and other global deployments, Camp Crowder served as a key mobilization and support center. Equipment was staged and units prepared here before heading overseas, directly linking this Missouri base to front lines across the world. Its economic impact on Newton County remains profound, providing stable jobs and continuing the long legacy of partnership. From a World War II necessity to a modern logistical powerhouse, the story of Camp Crowder is a testament to adaptation and endurance. It is a landmark carved by history, reflecting the journey of the U.S. military from the industrial age of total war to the information age of global defense. This piece of Newton County, Missouri, remains a quiet but essential component of America's strength, proving that even in the heartland, the echoes of history and the needs of the future resonate strongly. When you picture the American space race, what comes to mind? Cape Canaveral in Florida? Houston? Texas? What if I told you that a critical piece of the puzzle, a key to reaching the moon, was hidden deep in the rolling Ozark Hills of rural Missouri? In the small town of Neosho in Newton County, thousands of workers built and tested the engines that would propel humanity to the stars. This is the story of the Rocketdyne plant, a tale of cutting-edge technology meeting small-town America, and a legacy that still echoes through the region today. We'll explore its secret history, its monumental purpose, and the lasting impact it had on this quiet corner of the country. To understand how a rocket factory ended up here, we have to go back to the years after World War II. The United States was in the midst of an industrial boom, but also the escalating tensions of the Cold War. The space race with the Soviet Union wasn't just about exploration, it was a matter of national security and technological dominance. Federal policy began to favor decentralization, moving critical infrastructure away from the vulnerable coastlines and into the nation's heartland. The Ozarks, with its available land, hardworking labor force, and discreet location, was a perfect fit. And so, the U.S. Air Force built a massive facility here, which was soon operated by Rocketdyne, a division of North American aviation and a true giant in aerospace engineering. The Neosho facility wasn't just a warehouse, it was a powerhouse of innovation. From 1956 to 1970, this plant was at the forefront of rocket propulsion. Its primary role was the manufacturing and testing of liquid propellant rocket engines. We're talking about the engines for the Atlas intercontinental ballistic missile, the very rocket that carried the first American astronauts into orbit. They worked on the Thor and Jupiter missile systems, crucial components of America's early deterrent strategy. But their most legendary contribution was for the Apollo program. The Neosho plant manufactured the Vernier engines for the colossal Saturn V, the small but vital thrusters used for fine-tuned maneuvering. They also produced the gas generators for the mighty F-1 and J-2 engines, the very power plants that lifted Apollo off the Earth and sent it to the moon. At its peak, the plant employed nearly 4,000 people, transforming Newton County's economy. It was the largest employer in the region, offering high-tech, high-paying jobs that were previously unimaginable here. For the local community, the arrival of Rocketdyne was transformative. Neosho, a town of just a few thousand, suddenly became a hub of scientific and engineering talent. New schools and neighborhoods were built to accommodate the influx of workers and their families. Former employees recall a unique culture clash. A mix of local Ozarkians and highly educated engineers from across the country, all working together on a common top-secret goal. Due to the sensitive nature of the Cold War technology, secrecy was paramount. The roar of engine tests would echo through the hills, a constant reminder of the incredible power being harnessed just out of public view. For many locals, it was a source of both pride and mystery. But as the 1960s came to a close, the winds began to change. The Apollo program, having achieved its goal of landing a man on the moon, saw its funding drastically cut. Government contracts shifted, and the strategic needs that had brought Rocketdyne to Neosho were evolving. In 1970, the company ceased operations at the plant. The closure was a massive blow to the local economy. Thousands of high-paying jobs vanished almost overnight, forcing many families to relocate and leaving a significant void in the community. What became of this monument to the space age? Today, the site has been repurposed. It's now known as the Neosho Industrial Park, home to a variety of manufacturing and commercial businesses. The massive concrete structures and test stands that once roared with the fire of rocket engines are gone or have been adapted for new uses. Yet, the legacy of Rocketdyne endures. It's a story of a time when the path to the stars ran directly through the heartland. The plant brought a wave of technological knowledge and economic prosperity that helped shape modern Newton County. It proved that incredible feats of human ingenuity aren't confined to major metropolitan areas. The connection between rural America and the final frontier was forged right here in the hills of Missouri. From the Cold War to the moon landing, the small town of Neosho played a vital, if often overlooked, role in one of humanity's greatest achievements. It's a powerful reminder that history is made in unexpected places. Newton County is in the heart of America, where the rolling Ozark Hills meet the Great Plains, where it lies in a place defined by both its rugged past and its resilient future. Tucked into the southwestern corner of the state, it serves as a vital part of the Joplin metropolitan area. But this isn't just a story about geography. It's the story of a community that forged its identity in the dark, mineral-rich earth and was then forced to reinvent itself in the broad light of the 21st century. Towns like Granby and Neosho thrived during the mining economy. But, like all booms, it was finite. By the mid-20th century, the veins of ore were thinning, and large-scale mining operations began to fade, leaving behind a legacy of industrial might, but also an uncertain economic future. The 1980s marked a pivotal turning point. The last echoes of the mining industry were quieting down, and the county faced a critical challenge. What comes next? This was a period of introspection and struggle, as community leaders and citizens began the arduous task of diversification, searching for new foundations upon which to build their economy. The search for a new identity gathered momentum through the 1990s and into the new millennium. The county wisely leveraged one of its greatest assets, its location. The I-44 corridor, a major artery of American commerce, became the new economic lifeblood. Light manufacturing, logistics, and distribution centers began to sprout, filling industrial parks and creating jobs that didn't depend on what lay beneath the soil. Simultaneously, the service sector expanded. Driven by the needs of a growing regional population, healthcare and education became major employers. Neosho, the county seat, saw its medical facilities grow, and Crowder College solidified its role as a crucial institution for higher education and workforce training. Then, on May 22, 2011, the region was forever changed. The catastrophic EF5 tornado that struck neighboring Joplin sent shockwaves through Newton County. While the direct path of destruction was just to the north, the economic and social ties were inseparable. Newton County residents became first responders, volunteers, and hosts to displaced families. Its businesses supported the recovery, and its infrastructure absorbed the strain. This tragic event highlighted the deep interdependence of the entire metro area and forged an even stronger regional identity. In the decades since, Newton County has continued to evolve. It has experienced steady population growth, with many drawn to its more suburban and rural settings, while still having access to Joplin's amenities. The economy today is a blend of modern industry, robust local businesses, agriculture, and a growing service sector, a far cry from its singular focus on mining. So, what is life like in Newton County today? It's centered around vibrant hubs like Neosho, known as the City of Springs, and the Flower Box City. Its historic downtown square is a testament to its past, while modern retail and community centers cater to present-day needs. But life here extends far beyond the city limits. The Ozark landscape provides a stunning natural playground. Residents and visitors explore the rich history at the George Washington Carver National Monument, marvel at the power of Grand Falls, or spend quiet afternoons by the area's scenic rivers and lakes. This connection to nature is a cornerstone of the local quality of life. The community profile is one of friendly, down-to-earth Midwestern values, combined with a growing diversity. It's a place where families put down roots, drawn by affordable living, good schools, and a strong sense of community that was tested and proven in the face of disaster. From the depths of the zinc mines to the heights of modern industry and community spirit, Newton County's story is one of profound adaptation. It's a region that honored its industrial heritage while boldly forging a new, more diverse path forward. The journey isn't over. Challenges like continued workforce development and infrastructure modernization remain, but the opportunities for growth, driven by its strategic location and resilient people, are undeniable. Newton County stands as a powerful example of how a community can not only survive the end of an era, but thrive in the next era. Thank you for joining us on this historical journey. If you found this story interesting, please like this video and subscribe for more hidden histories.